That's a lot of people out there. It made me feel so much better when you smile. Yeah, yeah. Mark the 5th chapter. Are you there? Yeah. Are you there? Yeah. Amen. We're going to start at the 24th verse. And Jesus went with him, and much people followed him and thronged him. And a certain woman which had an issue of blood 12 years, and had suffered many things of many physicians, and had spent all that she had, and was nothing better, but rather grew worse. When she had heard of Jesus, came in the press behind, and touched his garment. For she said, or thought, if I may touch but his clothes, I shall be made whole. And straightway the foundation of her blood was dried up, and she felt in her body that she was healed of that plague. Ladies and gentlemen, I've read Mark the 5th chapter, 24 to the 29th verse. You may be seated. Now, if I may pick a topic for tonight, it would be, what is the enemy after? Yeah. That's good. What is the enemy after? Ask your neighbor, say, neighbor, what's the enemy after? You don't have to respond. To some of y'all might not know. But we got a treat for you tonight. Amen. So, in doing my, and I'm going to behave tonight. My mom told me that sometimes my dialect can be a bit broad. So, I'm going to behave tonight. Thank you, Mama. So the enemy is after your mind. Now the mind is the most important part of your body. Am I right about it? Without the mind, the body, you can't do anything. The body cannot function without the mind giving it instruction. Now the enemy, however, knows that your mind is the most important part of your body. So what the enemy does, so in essence, he goes after your mind. But his philosophy is that the enemy does not go after what he's after to get what he's after. Okay, let me say that again. I think I lost some people. The enemy is after your mind, but he does not go after what he's after to get what he's after. Okay, I'll push my point a little later on. So to understand anything in relation to the Bible, I've learned something called the law of first mention. What that simply means is that to understand the identity of something, to properly be able to identify the identity of the enemy, we must first go where he was first mentioned in the Bible. And he was mentioned in Genesis. Somebody say Genesis. Yes. All right, Genesis, the beginning. So in Genesis, everyone knows the story of Adam and Eve, how Adam was out and about, and the enemy came in the form of a serpent, and he came up to Eve, and he more or less beguiled, tricked her, or bamboozled her into eating off the tree of knowledge. Am I right about it? Yeah. All right, so now the interesting thing about that is that he didn't do it from an intellectual standpoint. He came after her feelings. He came after her feelings. He made her feel subordinate to God. He made her feel less than, insignificant, of no value. See, we have to learn to be careful of our feelings, because once we get our feelings hurt, then we're liable to ultimately react in different ways, such as anxiety, oppression, depression, vengeance, or in some cases, curiosity. Now, it's interesting the way that works. My grandmother, I just told you, she recently passed away, but she passed away from Alzheimer's, which is a disease that affects, ironically, your mind. She had experienced a lot of different things in her life that were not in direct contact with her mind, but she had a sister that died, she had a niece that died, she had other friends that had died. So all of that inadvertently had an effect on her mind. Now that has nothing to do in relation to the story. I just want y'all to see the importance of how the mind works. Is that all right? Is that all right? Amen. So we learned that ultimately the enemy plays off your feelings. Because when you feel a certain way, you're passionate about it. You care about it. I said you're passionate about it, and you care about it, and then it will ultimately dictate to your mind that anything that I feel a certain way about, I value. And the enemy goes after what you value, because what we value, we feel a certain way about, and what we feel a certain way about, it then dictates to our mind. So if he can mess with what you value, he can mess with how you feel. If he can mess with how you feel, he can mess with your mind. If he can mess with your mind, then he can run your life. Turn to your neighbor and say, neighbor, I've got to master my emotions. Yeah. Got to master my emotions. It is real, very simple concept. Most people, we react to a situation before we